I had this roommate in college, and I remember every night, it seemed like, for a whole semester, we'd talk about going running in the morning, because that just seemed like something that was a good idea. We should wake up and go running in the morning. All right, well, what time do you got class? 9. All right, we'll wake up at 7 and go running. Okay, what time is it? It's 3 in the morning. All right. And of course, we would never wake up at 7. This was one of those things that we said every day. There was something about us that we wanted to change, and then come 7 in the morning, we decided we didn't want it that bad. We decided we didn't want it that bad. So then I'm going to tell you the one thing that you can do to make sure that when you say something like that, I want to spend more time with God, I want to make better grades, I want to be better to the people around me. There is one thing that you can do to make sure that's going to happen. And if I would have learned this when I was a sophomore in college, thinking I was going to go running in the morning, I probably would have actually done it. I spent a good chunk of my week this week reading about the word change in the Bible. And what I do, I go to BibleGateway.com. If you guys struggle with something in your life and you're like, I need a verse about whatever it is, and you know, it's really difficult to just open up your Bible if you're not really, really familiar with it and find something that's talking about what you need to know. I go to this website called BibleGateway.com. I type in the word change, and I read every chapter pretty much that involved the word change. And I found something really, really interesting about change. What I found was that almost every time, or a lot of the time, that the Bible talks about change, they use this metaphor of people changing their clothes. People changing their clothes. And I thought, after what Evan talked about last week about moving across the country and going to this new place with these new people and the changes that we go through in our lives with, you know, relatives dying and divorce and all these terrible things that just really change everything about who we are, why would the Bible choose to talk about change like, I just don't like this shirt anymore, it's kind of sweaty, I'll go put on a different shirt? Because it feels to me like change is really, really a lot more important than just what kind of clothes I'm wearing and how I change my clothes. But usually when I feel differently than the Bible does, it means that I'm wrong. So I really kind of dove in there and tried to figure out what this change thing was all about. And it all starts in Genesis 25. And Jacob has just talked to God. And God has told Jacob what Jacob needs to do different. And God has told Jacob what Jacob's people need to do different. And so Jacob said to his household, he said, get rid of the foreign gods you have with you. Purify yourselves and change your clothes. Then we'll go build an altar to God, because he answered me and told us what to do. There's a couple things happening here that I want you to notice. In the Old Testament, we talk in symbols, and in the New Testament, we talk a lot in metaphors. So in the New Testament, it would say, changing your life is like changing your clothes. That's a simile, not a metaphor. And in the Old Testament, they would just go change their clothes. They said, I'm a different man. I'm going to tear these clothes off and put on new clothes. Or I'm going to go get a new haircut. I'm going to do something different on the outside. And it seems really silly to us, I think, to think about, I just made this dramatic decision and I am not going to wear this shirt anymore. But I don't think it's that weird for most of us. See, I go to the mall sometimes. I try to avoid it, but I see people shopping in all of these different stores, and I've noticed that people who shop in like Abercrombie think they are different than people who shop at like PacSun, and those people think they are different than people who shop at like Hot Topic. Now, I think people are people, and most of us are mostly the same in a lot of ways. We have the same longings and desires, but people think that. And so I remember when I was in high school, I used to wear a lot of polo shirts like the one I'm wearing right now, because I guess you would call me a preppy kid. And then I decided I didn't want to be a preppy kid anymore, so I started buying all of my clothes from PacSun because I wanted to be one of the skater kids. Now, I never skateboarded, but I really thought, you know, I'm a different person. I'm going to be this different way. I'm going to go buy different clothes in a different place. And then I really wanted to be a rebel, so I bought all of my old T-shirts from Goodwill, and that was all that I wore because I was a different person. Now, you guys have all these words that you throw on, like emo, punk, goth, skater, prep. I don't even know what all you refer to these social cliques, but you know that all these kind of things dress differently, and they all feel like they have different values, and it's different kind of people. And so when Jacob says, you know what, we're new people now, we're going to wear new clothes, it's really not that much different than what we do today. This is a symbol, and a symbol is expressing outwardly something that happened inwardly. It's going to be really difficult for people to see Jacob and say, Jacob, you're a completely different person. It's going to be tough for them to do that. But if he changes his clothes, and this is kind of common at the time, people are going to say, there's something different about you. Tell me what's up. And if you showed up to school dressed completely different than you did last year, people would say, what's going on with you? You usually wear colors, and now you're wearing all black, or your hair is purple. I would never make fun of you. So we do these things, and this is not that much different than what Jacob did, because we like to pretend like we need to express outwardly what has changed on the inside. Have any of you ever become a fan of a team that you used to not be a fan of? Anyone switched allegiances on that? I used to kind of be this Bears fan, but then I moved to Indianapolis kind of when the Bears were bad and the Colts were good. So you can call me a fair weather fan if you want. And I decided I was going to be a Colts fan. It's not really the most profound change I've ever made in my life. Did I go to the mall and spend $100 on Colts clothes? Yes, I did. So if we're going to spend money to look different because we decided we liked one different band or one different sports team, then how much do we try to change ourselves when we think that we've been changed just a little bit on the inside? But there's another idea here, and this is what I want you to get about clothes. Okay, guys, this is the really important thing that's going to rock your life. This is why I think that when the Bible talks about change, they talk about changing clothes. And this is one principle. If you remember nothing else that I said today, I want you to remember this, because this has the power to change your life. When you change your pants, you take off your old pants first. You got that? When you change your pants, you take off your old pants first. Tyler, do you feel like a new man right now upon hearing that? When you change your pants, Tyler feels like a new man because he doesn't always do that. You take off your old pants first, right? When you take off your shirt, you take off a shirt and put on a new shirt. That's what change is. If we didn't take off the old pants, then you would be wearing a pair of jeans and a pair of underwear over that, and then some swim trunks and maybe like a Speedo because you're a swimmer, and then you would put on a tank top and a flannel shirt and a jacket, and then you would put on a t-shirt over that, and then maybe like a nice button-up shirt. And not coincidentally, this is how Lady Gaga gets dressed on Tuesday mornings. And you would start to look like an idiot. Most of us know that when you change your pants, you take off your old pants first. The Bible talks about change like clothing, and most of us don't approach change that way. I was talking to Tyler this morning. I'm going to embarrass you just a little bit because you haven't been around for a while. And he was telling me that he wants to start getting up at 6:30 and riding his bike so he can get in shape before the fall. Remember you telling me that? And I started to think about how all the changes in my life have been made that way. I decide there's something new that I'm going to do. I decide at 3 o'clock in the morning that I'm going to start running at 7 in the morning. And that might not be the best time to make that decision. See, when we start to make changes like this, just say something new I'm going to do, that's not change. That's addition. All right, this is what we learned when we watched these yahoos bat balloons up in the air. It was pretty easy when they had one balloon. And then as soon as we added the second balloon, Sarah started to fall apart. And then when we added the third balloon, Austin started to fall apart. And I blew up 4 balloons for each of them, and we never got there. Because we just added things. If I would have said, put down that balloon and start bobbing this new balloon, well, we'd still be playing that game because it would be really, really easy. What you need to know is that change always involves addition and subtraction. That means taking off the one pair of pants, there's a subtraction, putting on the new pair of pants. We get that when we change our clothes, but we don't get that when it comes to changing other things in our life. If I would have been smart when I was in college, and it's amazing how stupid you can be and still get to college, by the way, I would have realized that I needed to stop staying up at 3 in the morning if I wanted to go for a run at 7 in the morning. Now, I don't know what the change is that you want to make in your life. Maybe you got cut from the soccer team this year, and you decided that you're not going to get cut from the soccer team next year. and you're already aware, you've thought this through, you need to start practicing soccer more, right? Maybe 2 hours a day working out, going for runs and stuff like that. And what you need to know right now is that you can't work out for 2 or 3 hours a day and still watch 7 or 8 episodes of SpongeBob. You need to subtract the SpongeBob and add in the working out. This is the kind of strategy that people take to losing weight when they say, you know what, instead of eating pizza, chips, and cookies, I'm going to eat pizza, chips, cookies, and a salad. That's addition, and I think we all understand that that doesn't work. Adding in one good thing doesn't get rid of anything else that we're doing, and it makes it really hard for us to change. So the idea that you can take, the one idea that's going to help you to make effective change is this one. You're going to start making statements that say, instead of blank, I am going to blank. You don't say, I'm going to start working out for 3 hours a day. You say, instead of watching SpongeBob 7 or 8 times, I'm going to start practicing soccer. Instead of staying up until 3 in the morning, I'm going to go to bed at a reasonable hour, and I'm going to go running in the morning. Here's how this looks for your spiritual life, and here's where most of us drop the ball. We say to God, God, everything that is happening in my life right now is going to continue, except I'm going to try to spend 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is, in prayer, reading devotions, reading the Bible. And unless your change is that you're going to find a way to make the day last more than 24 hours, unlikely, then you're not going to be able to make that happen. I know for a fact that most of you have pretty full days. Whether or not you're sleeping till 2, that's filling up a good chunk of your day. And if you want to say, I want to do something new, that means you're going to have to stop doing something old. This is what it says in Genesis 25 again. The first thing that Jacob says, we're going to make a change. Then he says, get rid of your foreign gods. Before he even says the new things they're going to do, he starts to lay out the things they're going to get rid of. Jesus tells people to stop sinning and to lead a new life. The first thing he tells them is what they're going to stop doing so they can start doing a new thing. In the book of James it says, stop mourning and start laughing. Talks about this a lot every time we talk about change. Here's the thing we're going to stop. Here's the thing we're going to start. What you need to know is that if you're not willing to get rid of other things, then it means you probably don't want the thing you want as bad as you thought you wanted it. You are never going to be that great soccer player who's playing in college unless you want it bad enough to turn off the TV every now and again. And if your approach to a relationship with God is to say, God, I'm going to spend time with you after I'm done with everything else, after I'm done with Facebook, after I'm done with watching TV, after I'm done playing video games, after I'm done doing whatever it is I'm going to do, after I'm done with that party on Saturday night, if I wake up in time, I will go to church on Sunday morning. If that's all you're willing to give to God, then you probably don't want to have a relationship with Him as bad as you thought you did whenever it was that you thought you wanted it. This is a sacrifice, and it's a pretty easy sacrifice in my mind to say I'm going to spend 15 minutes less on Facebook because I've seen some of your activity on there, and some of you are on there a lot. I'm going to spend 15 minutes less on this thing and spend 15 minutes more with God. I'm going to spend 15 minutes less playing video games or on Facebook, or I'm not going to go to as many parties on Saturday night so I can be at church on Sunday morning. Whatever it is, if you're not willing to stop doing something else so you can start doing something better, then you kind of need to look back on what it is that you thought that you wanted.